last week, Equifax had reported a data breach that affected somewhere in the neighborhood of 143 million Americans. You know, that's 44% of the population. And the breach occurred between mid-May and the end of July this year. The kind of data that was stolen included names, addresses, social security numbers, driver's license, essentially the kind of information that we have been warning consumers to protect at all costs for a long time, because in the wrong hands, that kind of information can lead directly to identity theft. What Equifax has done is set up a website called EquifaxSecurity2017.com. And basically what consumers need to do is go there, first of all, to find out if in fact the information that was breached includes you. And so what you'll be asked to do is provide your last name and your social security number on this encrypted site, and then it will do a quick search and will let you know that you may have been compromised or you may not. If you have been compromised, then you need to spring into action. You need to at least right away put an alert on your credit account. So what that means is you can contact one of the three major credit reporting agencies. That's either TransUnion, Experian, or Equifax, and put this alert on your account. You can do that by going through annualcreditreport.com and search your way through to the particular site, or go directly to that site and place that alert. The next thing you may want to do, and I would highly recommend you do this, and that is place a freeze on your accounts. So the difference between the alert and the freeze is the alert's good for 90 days, but it can be renewable for up to 7 years. And it requires that anybody who is advancing you credit needs to go through additional efforts to try to verify your identity. The freeze is a much more robust protection against your credit. And what that means is virtually no one can take out credit in your name, with a few exceptions, or without your express permission. So again, you've got protections, but that is something you're going to want to do immediately. And then contact law enforcement and file a report, because with that law enforcement complaint, basically, you can then ask for a freeze from these three credit reporting agencies without having to pay that $10 fee. If you don't want to go through that, if you consider it a hassle, but that extra step, then you will need to pay $10 for each freeze that you place. But still, that's a $30 investment in potentially protecting you from being on the hook for thousands of dollars of new credit. Identity theft is one of those crimes where you don't know it's happened until it's happened. So make sure that you're checking your accounts on a regular basis. Now, some people have their credit accounts, for example, their credit card accounts electronically. So if you're checking them daily, you can find out if there are any irregularities and then take additional steps at that point, or at least to alert the credit card companies that you have a transaction that needs to be disputed. Obviously, you're going to want to change your credit card numbers right away, get new cards issued, and they will do that really quickly, because obviously credit card companies have very robust fraud departments who are looking out for this kind of activity. We've been talking an awful lot about the data breaches that have already been occurring. You know, the Yahoo data breach, which was a huge one, the OPM, Office of Personnel Management data breach that occurred a couple of years ago. 20 million, 21 million Americans were impacted by that, with current and former federal employees. You had the Target data breach. Over and over, we continue to hear about data breaches of businesses. So there's some level of information, not necessarily the Holy Grail as you've described it, but this shouldn't really be an eye-opener, because the data breach of businesses has been around for a long time. What business really needs to do, though, is to take stock of the information that they have on file of their customers. And if it isn't information that they need, they shouldn't be asking for it, number one. And number two, they obviously need to have a very tight security set of protocols in place to avoid having a breach occur. But then if for whatever reason a breach does actually happen, that they have a response plan in place and steps that they will take to make sure that their customers' information will not be used if at all possible. So in the case of Equifax, I mean, that's one of 3 major credit reporting agencies that has the most sensitive personally identifiable information on Americans that you can imagine. So they need to really step up and take stock in what happened and to prevent it from ever happening again.